Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we are looking at the OCG Banlist that just came out. So we are here on some Japanese website, and I have translated it using Google Translate, so of course the translations will be But let's check out what new cards have been limited or banned, and you can already see right here, we have some newly banned cards. Okay, wow. So, Wandering Griffin Rider and Union Carrier are both banned, and the thing is, this is really weird given the fact that the Adventure Engine already had a limit to 1 on the Water Enchantress, as well as a limit to 1 on the, on Rite of Aaron Messir. So, that's a bit odd. I'm guessing they probably unlimit or unhit those cards, because without Wandering Griffin Rider allowing you access to that Omni Negate, that engine overall isn't nearly as useful. Plus, the level 7 body was very useful in a lot of different combo decks, so this is very surprising, and I'm honestly quite a fan of this. This just seems to be the problematic card within that archetype. The fact that it is level 7, the fact that it is a free special summon, the fact that it also is an Omni Negate, all three of those really provide a lot of issues. Just look at the Tenyis and the fact that they are also level 7s that can special summon themselves. While not having that Omni Negate, they're still incredibly useful. However, this can be searched pretty easily, so yeah, definitely seeing the limitation there makes sense. Kind of odd though, given the fact that Terra Element doesn't play this deck, Sprite doesn't play this deck. There's no real reason to ban this card in particular, because it doesn't really do anything. Union Carrier, on the other hand, has been used in Splight in order to extra deck lock the opponent, due to, what is it? The dragon. Buster Whelp dragon thing. I forget the name of it. But yeah, both of those definitely make sense in terms of why they're banned. This one's a little odd just given the timing. It feels like it's kind of a format late to ban this one, but there's probably unlimits as well in the for the Adventure Engine. But yeah, Union Carrier is absolutely crazy. You can set so many cards onto it, and then all of a sudden you just get a whole bunch of advantage. You can extra deck lock your opponent forever, as long as that card's still on the field. You can prevent your opponent from you can have like infinite negates due to things like the Apex Avian Simorg kind of combo, infinite negates there. You can have like Ava to like send it off of Ava, which I think Ava is actually banned if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, mostly it's just used for the extra deck lock, so definitely makes sense there. Newly restricted cards. Whoa! Okay, hold on. Holy snap. There is a lot to go through. They have just murdered the meta. Except for Terra Element. Terra Element is still the best deck. Yes, limiting Yugioh as well as... Oh, I forget the name of this one. Definitely hurts Terra Element, and limiting the field spell does also hurt it. But in comparison, like, Splight is basically dead. Both Frog, the Swap Frog, as well as the Jet being limited to 1 is very painful. That just means you're getting less 2s. You're not able to use the Frog engine as your main 2 engine, which means you might have to, play other, like, normal summons or other special summons, or just more frogs in general, which you don't really want to do because Swap Frog's just the best one. Yeah, Splites seem to have been hit really hard here. Now, they still have, the Terra Elements in particular, still have access to a lot of their other options, such as the other Ishizu cards, as well as they still have full access to their Terra Elements. Sure, they're missing one, like, search with their field spell, but the Terra Elements still have all of them. Sure, they're not going to be able to use the hand trap that is Herald of Orange Light to get their combos and basically play on turn 0 nearly as consistently, and I think that's mostly what's going on here. All of these cards specifically allow you to play on the opponent's turn as well, so this definitely makes sense. Not exactly... It's a lot of hits, so it's hard to really say what this is going to do, but this seems like Terra Element still has a lot that it can do. While it may not be the most dominant, most meta-defining deck, it's the only tier 1, yada yada, I still think that it is going to be one of the best decks of the format. And especially since we have the limitation to the Flunderies map, this also means that Flunder isn't going to be the best deck either. They really need to see this card, and with the limitation to both Pot of Prosperity as well as this card, it makes it very difficult to actually see it. Is there anything else really worth noting? I mean, Sprite Starter means that you're not going to have follow-up, and like if you get Dark Ruler No More, your Sprite engine's going to kind of die. Yeah, you basically... that sucks, because what now are you even... I guess you search Smashers? I think there's another spell or trap that you can also search off of Jet, but I mean, you only have the one Jet. You're only going to search the one starter. That's a huge hit. Three really massive hits to Splites, and 3 or 4 minor hits to Terra Element. They're definitely big, but not as big, just because all of the Terra Elements are still available. Obviously, Yatagarasu and the Time Scale coming off of the list definitely makes sense. Those could come back to 3, no problem. Weird to see the map just randomly being limited here as well. But yeah, let's move on. We have semi-limits. Yeah, not... Whoa, wait, whoa. Okay. Okay, let's just scroll through this. So we have the ABC Buster Dragon. Finally, this card is coming to 2. It could come to 3, no problem. Yeah, it was currently limited, or it was previously limited. Same with the Pendulum Magician. I think this guy was also limited. This seems odd given the fact that new support just came out for a bunch of Pendulum decks. So giving more Pendulum seems kind of weird. I also think like Pendulum might be the best deck currently of the format after this ban list, just because it is huge hits to Terra Element. So this is a bit weird. Obviously, seeing the Water Enchantress totally makes sense, given the fact that they did limit the or ban the Griffin Rider. However, it looks like they didn't unlimit the Rite of Aramesir. So it's just the 2 Water Enchantress and the 1 Rite of Aramesir. Granted, there are other ways to get the token onto the field, so it does make a little bit more sense given the new product that has come out to boost the Adventure Engine, but it's still a bit weird. Hafunes, I think, is the one that plays on the opponent's turn. I believe that's this one. I could be wrong. I don't remember any of the artwork for any of these, and obviously it's not actually translated. But I think this is Hafunes, which is the one that, you know, if you activate a monster effect, you can special summon this card and mill 3, which could get you your entire play started and just, like, be able to play on your opponent's turn. So this definitely feels like a good hit, especially at least at 2. So yeah, there's that. Dimension Shifter going to 2 from 3. This card was specifically used and like teched in with Splite against Terra Element, or just like any deck that could really just play without the graveyard. You would play this, you'd play under your own Dimension Shifter and just like turn off the entire deck of Terra Element for a turn, and yeah, there you go. And then you just OTK them. Next up we have was this guy limited? Yeah, okay, so Torn Scales was limited, and now he's going to 2. That makes sense. Phantom Knights aren't really doing anything at the moment in the OCG, so yeah, that does make sense. That does boost the power level of Phantom Knights, though, and I do think Phantom Knights are still good, but without the Adventure Engine, they're not going to be nearly as prominent. And then Lightning Storm is weird. Why is Lightning Storm on here? What? OCG, are you okay? What is going on? Why is Lightning Storm on here? I'm so confused. Yeah, cool. Wow. Lots of hits to random cards. Unlimits are very nice to see. But then hits to like Lightning Storm. Dimension Shifter definitely should be hit. I agree with that. But lots of unlimits and then the Hafunes, which I guess makes sense. Probably should just limit it to 1. I think that's a little bit better. But let's go to the unrestricted, to the limit 3s. So we have Gen X Ally Birdman. This card could definitely come back to 3. I am not sure about Jackalope. Jackalope is a 3, and it's also just a very good card in general. Being able to draw cards, being able to special summon cards, absolutely insane. That's surprising. I feel like 3 access as well, like the Phantom Knight kind of engine with a whole bunch of level 3s, seems pretty good now with Gen X Ally Birdman, the Jackalope, as well as the Phantom Knight coming back. That feels really strong. Spiral Resort, I think... I could be wrong, but I think Master Plan is currently unlimited in the OCG. So I don't know why they're giving back Spiral Resort. That sounds like a disaster. Spiral might be very good if Master Plan is still available. Because I don't think there are any other limitations to basically when it was tier 1 in the TCG with like Master Plan and Magician Souls and stuff like that. So that's interesting. Widow Anchor definitely could come back to 3, no problem. I think it was semi-limited, so there's that. Same with Magical Meltdown. They're not going to do anything. Yeah, all of these were semi-restricted, and they're now unbound. Or unrestricted. So, yeah, it makes sense, but, yeah. That is quite interesting. That is quite the list, I will say. This really, really heavily nerfed the 2 top decks being Terra Element as well as Splight. I'm actually going to show you what the meta looked like prior to this ban list. So here we are on Road of the King, and as you can see, Terra Element was taking up basically 50% of the topping decks, as well as Splight with the 21%. So yeah, it was basically just those 2 decks. Basically nothing else could even compete with those 2. They took up more or less 3/4 of the entire metagame. So it does make sense as to why they have been hit. However, it feels like Sprite has more limitations and more just like hits, more heavy hits in particular, than the Ishizu Terra Element, or more specifically just Terra Element in general. The only Terra Element card in particular that was hit was Hafunes. I feel like a lot of people will just switch from playing the Ishizu cards to instead playing Danger, and it's still the best deck. It's still going to be very popular. So I feel like this was a pretty middling hit when it comes to hitting specifically the actual problem cards, that being the Terra Elements. Sure, the Ishizu cards definitely boosted the consistency of the deck, but it was really the fact that the Terra Element cards were able to do what they do, right? They're still going to be able to play on the opponent's turn due to Hafunes if they get lucky, and it's going to feel a little bit more sacky since, you know. But I mean, I guess now they're subject to playing against Maxi instead of like just playing on the opponent's turn. So I don't know. It's definitely hits to the 2 most popular decks, and even like the 3rd most popular was a Terra Element mixture. So it does make sense. Oh my gosh, there's even more. So many Terra Elements. So it does, again, make sense as to why these decks have been hit, but it definitely feels like the second best deck got hit a little bit more than the one that is dominating everything. And the one that's dominating may have just gotten a slight buff, in a way, with the Jackalope coming back. That means they can play more Dangers, which means they can play more Terra Elements and potentially mill them, which then could get their entire combo off. And hey, guess what? Did you know Nessie's an Aqua? Yep, it matters. Anyway, this is going to be interesting. I still think Terra Element and Splight are going to be popular decks. I think Splight will probably fall off quite significantly compared to Terra Element, but I do want to see maybe Spiral gets picked up. I think Rika might be a very good deck. I think the Beasted stuff as well is very interesting and kind of underrated at the moment. Also, the Pendulum deck that we saw not too long ago is something to look at as well. So those are the decks that I'm expecting, but again, I still think Terra Element is going to dominate. I don't know what else to say. It's Terra Element. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members, Poncho Villa, Ascended Fella, and Yorda. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.